Hello again, my dear beloved viewers of my channel on YouTube. I'm here again to talk about another interesting topic and to tell you the truth about what I refer to as our culture and our religion. We have come to discover that there is a little bit of demarcation, or how do I put it, like a little bit of clash between our religion, for example, the Christian religion, and our culture. A certain many of us who goes to church um, do not want to identify anymore with the culture of our people, the culture of our communities in Africa. We condemn it, we call our culture as fetish, and we call them as dirty, and we refer to them as demonic, you know. And but I want to tell the truth. I want to tell you the truth today. Our culture is not evil. It's not dirty. And God does not criticize, does not condemn our culture, even in the Bible. We we must be careful to be able to see the demarcation, the point of demarcation between where our religion does not clash into our culture. As long as our culture and tradition does not interfere with or does not bring us into idolatry, does not bring us into worshiping other small gods, I don't think there is anything wrong with it. You can be a Christian and still be a very good defender of your cultural heritage. I want to emphasize on this channel that our culture is our identity. Our culture is our root, where that identifies us as a people. We have a beautiful cultural heritage. For example, in Benin City in Nigeria, Africa, we have a very beautiful cultural heritage that has nothing to do with idolatry. It has nothing to do with serving another god. It's our beautiful ancestral legacy from our forefathers. And this culture is so nice. It involves the way we dress. It involves the kind of food we eat. It involves the kind of life we live. It involves our mentality. It involves the way we dance, the kind of dance we do, and our everything that has to do with our culture, our custom, and our tradition. And basically, there are so many parts of our tradition that is just the same. They are synonymous with what the Bible says. And therefore, we cannot condemn those parts of our culture. We cannot condemn those parts of our cultural norms, our traditional provision. We cannot condemn them to say they are fetish, they are dirty, they are demonic, they are satanic. That is not true. It is not every part of our culture that is bad. In fact, let me shock you that if, for example, in Benin City, the most important part, the nucleus of the Benin tradition, has to do with the Ten Commandments of God, with the Ten Commandments that God gave to Moses for the children of Israel. And that's the Ten Commandments is the beginning, the rudiment of our Christian law. And that has to do with not stealing, not killing, not committing adultery, not committing evil and other forms of abomination, not bearing false witness against your neighbor. If you come to the Benin tradition, if you come to the Benin culture, you will see that these things are there. They are the same. They are not different. We were brought up to know, to understand that if you steal, if you commit adultery, if you sleep with another man's wife, if you tell lies against another human being, if you bear false witness against another human being, it is against our tradition. It is against our culture. And that's exactly what the Bible says. If you steal, if you take what does not belong to you, our culture and tradition says, no, you cannot steal. If you steal, then you have committed an abomination. And that's exactly what the Bible says. So, and if you look at all other parts of our culture and tradition, they all speak about the same thing that the Bible speaks about. There is no difference. It is only exaggeration. Certain people are overzealous and they because they are just Christians, they just use the opportunity to condemn everything that has to do with our tradition. The only area I would support for anybody not to participate is when you are a Christian, don't participate in the idolatry part of certain part of the African culture or tradition. Don't participate in that. And that does not change anything about you. That does not mean you are against the culture. You are just protecting the sanctity of your religious belief and the way you believe in your God. And so you can refuse to do idolatry and still defend your culture and still defend your cultural heritage and still protect your tradition and still build it and leave it as a legacy and preserve it even for future generations. There are too many beautiful things about the African culture and tradition that we cannot just throw away just because we have become westernized, just because we live in Europe, just because we live in America, just because we become Christians. God did not ask us to throw away our tradition or our culture. It only tells us to be careful in the areas where we do not clash the cultural provisions with the laws of God, with the commandments of God. As long as we are careful and we try not to infringe each other against each other, we are very safe. We cannot throw away our culture and tradition. They are still part of us. That is our root, that is our identity, and that is our heritage. There are very beautiful things about it. Look at the way the Benin people dance in their traditional way. Look at the way we dress in our traditional way. Look at all the artifacts, all the beautiful and historical monuments, and so many other things that we still use today to identify our culture all over the world. Anywhere we go, we are known as African people. We show it in our character. We show it in our way of life. We must not throw all these things away. They are very important. Just as we defend our Christian belief, so we must defend our culture and tradition. We cannot throw them away. We cannot clash them together and confuse everything together. That is not wise. That is not matured. We are educated people, and we must behave like educated people. We must behave like people who are refined, people who have been able to understand the relevance of our culture and tradition in our way of life, in our history. You know, with the African history would never be complete without bringing in the relevance of our culture and tradition. Christianity is not against our culture. We must protect it. We must continue to serve our God in faith, in good spirit, and in reverence. And also, we must begin to protect and preserve our tradition, just the way they were handed over to us by our forefathers. I know that if we understand this issue and we are able to play our role very well, religion will not clash into our culture. I thank you for listening. I invite you to subscribe to this channel and click on the notification bell so you will be able to get more of my videos that I will bring in to this channel from time to time. I thank you so much for listening, and God bless.